So much light, Mr. Berry. Daylight. All the time. And on sunny days, you almost felt like you were sitting outside. It was that bright.
That surprised you, Grace?
It was a factory. I thought it would be dark and dirty.
Then why go to work there?
I was 15. It was time I paid my own way.
Pay your own way. What about school?
Oh, I'd miss it so much. The girls were all so nice and the work wasn't hard. It wasn't like factory work really. It was more like art. Painting those tiles. We were artists.
I am not the one you should be talking to. Edward von Shishakli. He's the one you should be talking to.
Now, Arthur, you know he won't talk to us.
It's his process.
Tell him about that process, Arthur.
We used a powder. The girls mixed it in with an adhesive to make the paint, then applied it to the dials.
You used a powder.
I didn't invent that. They were doing that when I got there.
But you knew about it.
Deep down, we all knew about it. We just didn't know what it meant.
Oberoi International School presents a 2-act radio drama, Radium Girls.
Arthur Reeder is his name, and he's brand new. Just started yesterday, and people say he's got something to prove.
Oh, Irene, you think we're in big trouble?
Don't worry, Grace. He's not the top boss.
He's the boss of us, Catherine.
If he gives us a bad time, we'll go talk to Dr. Wansashoki. He owns the company.
What makes you think the doctor wouldn't be just as mad?
The doctor never gets mad.
That's why he hired Reeder, to get mad for him.
Oh, here he comes.
Good morning, girls.
Good morning, Mr. Reeder.
I don't believe we've met. Which one of you is Miss Fryer?
That's me.
And Miss Rudolph?
Here.
And you must be Miss Schwab. Thank you for coming in. Step into my office, please. Now, girls, Mrs. McNeil tells me there's been some problems on the floor.
Oh, problems?
She seemed to think that you might know something about it.
I don't know what she means.
We never heard of any problem.
Is Miss McNeil mistaken then when she says she found the 3 of you in the supply closet with luminous paint all over your faces?
Oh, that.
Yes, that.
It was just a joke.
We wanted to scare the new girl, Amalia.
I see. And was she scared?
Oh, yes.
You should have
seen her face. She jumped as high white as a ghost. I never saw anything so funny.
We didn't mean any harm.
I'm sure you didn't, but girls, this paint you've been playing with, it's very expensive. You realize that?
No, sir.
It takes several tons of ore to produce even a single gram of radium. There's a lot of work, hard work, for men in the extraction plant. But they do this work gladly. You understand why? Why they work so hard? What we're all working for?
The war?
That's right, the war. The dials you paint save lives, girls. Our boys depend on them. To read them in the dark, not mistaking what they see. Otherwise, some of those boys won't become known. So if you fool around and don't take your work seriously, you're playing right in the hands of the Kaiser. And we don't want that. Do we?
No, sir.
Alright then, girls. Get back to work now and leave the tomfoolery to home.
Thank you.
Miss Fryer, Is there something else?
Mr. Reader, I just wanted to say I'm awfully sorry. I won't do this ever again.
Just keep this in mind, dear. You do right by us, and we'll do right by you.
Yes, sir.
May 17th, 1921. Nancy Jane Harlan here for the New York Graphic, the New York Graphic's only girl reporter.
Jack Youngwood for the Newark Ledger, Newark's first source for news.
Madame Marie Curie, eminent French scientist, embarks on a whistle-stop tour of the United States.
First stop, New York City, where she is greeted by an enthusiastic crowd of well-wishers.
The High Priestess of Science is headed for Washington to receive a gift of 1 gram of radium, valued at $100,000.
Purchased for her by the members of the Marie Curie Radium Club, an association of 100,000 American women,
who each gave $1 to support humanitarian research with radium.
Grace, over here.
Irene, look, I got my certificate. Member, Marie Curie Radium Club.
You gave $1?
It's all for science.
Science? What about my room and board?
Ooh, there she is.
Welcome all, welcome all. I must ask you, ladies and gentlemen of the press, please limit your questions. Madame Curie is about to embark on an exhaustive tour of the country, and she is under strict doctor's orders to rest. Although, in the typical fashion of a scientist who can think only of her research, her life's work, she has refused to rest.
Madame Curie, what will you do with the radium? What will you do with the radium?
I will continue my experiments to find better methods for the treatment of the cancer.
Is radium a cure for all cancer?
Cure for the cancer? Yes, cure for the cancer. That is so. It has already cured all kinds of the cancer.
But some doctors dispute that.
Then they do not understand the method. There is no question. Radium will cure the cancer.
Madame Curie, over here, Madame Curie. How have you managed to devote yourself both to science and to your children?
It has not been easy. But my daughters share great gratitude for the American women for their interest in science and my work. I am most grateful.
Madame Curie, over here.
No more questions. Madame Curie is on a tight schedule. Mrs. Andrew Carnegie has sent a car and will escort Dr. Curie personally, as will I, to Washington, where President Harding will present the gift of 1 gram of radium.
Let's send Madame Curie one of our customers' watches, courtesy of the United States Radium Corps.
We'll need a press release.
Radium isn't just for scientists to study. The average American can share in its glory every night. Luminous watches, luminous clocks. Anyone who thinks these are just novelties, consider all the other advances that have taken place in the past 50 years. The electric light, the telegraph,
The telephone.
the automobile, the inventions, all once dismissed as novelties, as toys.
Are now essentials to modern life. Got it. That ought to sell some watches.
Watches, of course, absolutely. But that's not where the growth is now, Charlie. You're the lady. It's the medical market.
And Standard Chemical owns it.
Only because Von Shockley lets them take it. But If we wanted to, we could get half their business. It's just a matter of positioning, of course.
Standard Chemical publishes its own journal, sends it out monthly to 12,000 doctors. We could do something similar.
Something scholarly. Something the doctors would respect.
A bibliography, listing every article ever published on radium.
But with capsule reports to save the doctors time. They'd get at the information, find it fast.
And have us to thank for it.
And we'll send it to every doctor in the United States Radium Society.
Every doctor in the American Medical Association.
That's the spirit, Charlie. Advertising. That's the way of the future. It's not just about the product. It's the way you promote it.
You should have seen it. The church was filled with flowers, lilies and carnations and orchids. You know how Amalia loved orchids.
They weren't orchids.
They were orchids, Irene.
Flags.
Orchids. I know an orchid when I see one. Purple orchids. Oh, and that smell. Grace, that smell. What was that smell? It was like
flowers.
No, it was like heaven. I was gonna say it was like heaven.
Like heaven? Catherine, it was just a funeral. You make it sound like it was some kind of Valentino picture.
It wasn't just a funeral. It was Amalia's. And it was beautiful. You should have seen it. The church was like the botanical gardens, and the company sent a big spray of flowers too. Carnations.
Mums.
Yellow carnations.
Those were mums.
Well, it sounds like a nice service anyhow.
Girls? Girls! The whistle's already gone. I've received new instructions this day. We're going back to the old way of pointing the brushes. We was losing too much paint in the cloth.
But...
Yes, Grace? Something you wish to say?
Dr. Wanchashoki told me not to do that. He said it's unsanitary.
Unsanitary? Well, I can't hardly believe he'd say such a thing. We've done this as long as I've been here. You must misunderstand him.
Yes, ma'am.
And you are not to get new brushes until you've done with the old, and they gotta be so bad that they can't get a point no more.
You can't make quota like that.
Well, you'll do your best. Since I have my instructions.
Miss McNeil, I need a new brush.
Let me see your brush. Oh well, fine. I'll find a new one.
I have my instructions, girls. I have my instructions.
Here's an instruction for you, Miss McNeil. Let some of that starch out of your corset.
Was she at the service?
McNeil, are you kidding? You think she'd cross the street for her own mother?
Most everybody else was, though. You was about the only girl from our floor who wasn't there.
I wanted to come, but Ma was working and I had to watch the little ones.
You could have brought him.
All 7?
Well, if it was me, I'd try to get there.
Just lay off. Grace feels bad as it is.
Were many of the fellas there?
Oh, yeah. Lots of fellas from downstairs. Mr. Roth from the front office, Dr. Wanchashoki was there, and Mr. Reader.
And he left early.
So, he was there all the same. Oh, and Grace, you know that fella from Crystallizing? What's his name? The one with the red hair? He was there. You know who I mean?
Oh, the tall fella with the freckles.
That's the one who snaps his fingers all the time.
George.
Jerry.
I think it's George.
It's Jerry. Jerry Malone. The one who was always talking to Amalia in the day room.
That's right. Oh, Grace. When the mass was over, he goes over to the coffin and he goes like this. He puts a hand to her lips and slowly blows a kiss.
No.
Yes.
Really?
Really?
Oh, for pity's sakes.
Well, he did. Nobody could believe it.
So what if he did?
So what? He was in love with her. That's so what? Don't you think so, Grace?
Well, I guess he had to be if he did that.
And can you imagine? Can you imagine if he loved her and never told her, never could bring himself to say, because she was too beautiful and he was so shy, and now it's too late. It's too late. That their love is forever thwarted. He didn't tell her, and he'll never get a chance ever again.
Poor Amalia.
Poor Amalia.
Poor kid.
Her family took it awful bad, Grace. Albina, Quinta, everybody. Every one of them crying. Even her father, crying so bad. I never saw a man cry before. Not like that. Just bawling like a baby.
And you know why, too.
'Cause their daughter had died.
What she died from.
Irene, don't go spreading stories.
It's not a story. Albina told us. No reason Grace shouldn't know.
Know what? Know what? Amalia?
Ain't it awful? Albina said her father's fit to be tied too. 6 girls at home, and ain't none of them ever going to a dance again.
All because Amelia Upton died from syphilis. Shh! I can't help it if that's what she died from.
You don't know that for sure.
It's on the death certificate.
Anemia and complications from syphilis.
But Amalia was ever so nice.
Guess she got around more than we knew.
Maybe it's a mistake. Maybe the doctor got it wrong.
Come on.
He could have got it wrong. Doctors are wrong sometimes.
That's true. Doctor was wrong about Aunt Ivy.
What's Mama got to do with it?
Irene, don't you remember? Up to the day she died, doctor said Aunt Ivy would be fine. Said, take a cup of tea, get a good night rest. And 2 days later, he was taking her to Rosedale Cemetery.
Girls, your attention please. Mr. Reader and Mr. Von Sushoki are here to make an announcement.
Thank you, Miss McNeil. Girls, we are here to put a few rumors to rest.
And to explain some changes, yeah?
Yes, as some of you may have heard by now, Dr. Von Shockley is stepping down, and he wanted to take this opportunity
to make with goodbye, and Mr. Reader has kindly consented. Some of you I have known since you were little girls, coming here during the war, working so hard, day after day at the bench, 200, 300, some of you 500 dials a day. So excited to be part of our work here. In this company I start in my own kitchen, mixing up the paint. I knew I found something miraculous to make life better, easier, and now, what do I read? More and more uses are there for the radium, more than I dreamed possible.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yes, thank you, Doctor. Now, girls, the Doctor is a busy man and must be on his way, so let's wish him the best of luck in his new business ventures. Very good, then, girls. Very good.
And Mr. Reader, let us good luck wish you also. To the plate he steps as your new company president. Our congratulations to you.
Thank you. And
When Mr. Reader came 4 years ago to us, I saw in him a young man of great enterprise
thank you.
and great ambition.
Yes, thank you.
Little did I guess the direction your ambition would take. But one of the things that makes this country great is the opportunity it presents to a young man and his friends.
And so, girls,
And so, ladies, let us wish Mr. Reader the very best in the new direction he intends the company to take.
New direction?
With the slowdown in dial painting and business moving into the medical market, there's going to be lots of changes, yeah?
what the doctor is referring to, some of our large customers are setting up their own dial painting studios.
Which means less work for our girls here.
So in the short run, things may be a bit slower here. However, the Waterbury Clock Company in Connecticut will need help setting up its new studio. We're intending to make an announcement next week. I guess we'll make it now. Miss McNeil?
We'll be asking some of you girls to go up on there.
The work is supervisory in nature, which means more pay. You have some girls in mind?
Louis Conlon was one, Sarah Douche, Lena McCarthy, and Catherine Schwab.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
I have the entire list downstairs. I'll post it today.
Fine, there you have it, girls. As we're all on the clock, well, we'll leave you to it.
Thank you, ladies. My best wishes to you.
That's back to work with you girls.
You gonna do it, Catherine? You gonna take that job?
Would you, Grace? Would you go to Connecticut?
Oh, I don't know. It's awful far from home. Tommy would have a fit.
Oh, come on, Grace. It'd be fun. Wouldn't it be fun, Irene? Irene!
Irene?
Irene?
Honey, you alright?
Huh? Yeah, sure. Why wouldn't I be alright? What? Why are you staring at my face?
Your mouth is bleeding.
Oh, I don't know about that daughter of mine, Tom. $35 a week, and she quits the place.
There's more to life than money, Mrs. Fryer.
That's what you say when you're young, Tom. But you and Grace get to be my age, with the house full of your kids underfoot. You'll thank God for every penny you put by.
We got money put by.
How much?
Enough to get married to Grace.
Don't take much to get married on. Do you have enough to stay married on?
You let us get married. We'll find out.
Are you still eating, Tommy?
What? It's good.
You're going to get fat.
Got to keep up his strength. He works hard for his money.
Don't start, Ma.
I didn't say nothing. It's your father who hit the roof over it.
He didn't hit the roof.
You should have seen the man's face, Tom, when he found out Grace wasn't working no more. Most girls would give their eye teeth for a job like that. Good money, easy work, nice looking fellas around the plant.
You didn't tell me about them, Grace.
Wasn't that many of them? Hardly seemed worth the mention.
And she leaves it all behind, for reasons unknown. I'm tired of it up there, she says. Are you tired of the paycheck, I say. Who needs a paycheck, she says. I got me a boyfriend to take me out Saturdays.
She said that?
Oh, you know I didn't. And for your information, I got a job. I started the bank on Monday.
Oh yeah, the bank. And what's it pay?
Enough?
Enough. Always enough. You know what that means, Tom? It don't come close to what it pays at the radium plant.
It's office work.
Office work? Well, I guess that means you'll be spending more money on clothes then.
Boy, she is really steamed at you.
I don't see what difference it makes so as long as I'm working somewheres.
Don't make no difference to me. I thought you liked it up there.
Sure, I liked it. I worked there 4 years.
So, I've been delivering mail for almost 8 years now. And I plan to do so for another 20 or 30 years if I'm lucky. There's nothing like steady work and a good pension to help you sleep at night.
I don't have a pension, and I sleep just fine.
I bet you do. So, how come you quit, Grace?
Lots of girls are quitting. Work is slow. Besides, since Irene left, it's just not as much fun. And wouldn't you rather have a girlfriend who works in a bank?
Well, not as much as I'd like to have a wife who doesn't work anywhere.
Close your eyes. I got a surprise for you.
Yeah? Want me to pull the shades?
Not that kind of surprise. Close your eyes. Now look.
Huh? Wallpaper?
For the baby's room.
Baby's room? You won't even kiss me and you're talking about babies?
There's gonna be babies eventually, Tommy.
Well, sure. Grace, most girls, they get married before they decorate the nursery.
Plan ahead for once. Pick one.
They're both the same.
No, they're not. This one has big flowers and that one has little flowers. So, just pick one.
This some kind of test?
No, it's just wallpaper.
It's some kind of test, isn't it?
Pick one, Tommy.
That one.
Really?
The other one then.
Which do you like though?
I mean, they're both nice.
This one is pretty, don't you think?
That one then.
I like it too. A nice neutral yellow goes with either a boy or a girl, and until the baby comes, you can use the room for other things.
Yeah? Like what?
Like a painting studio, maybe.
A painting studio, maybe? Don't you get enough painting at work?
Not the kind I wanted to, Tommy. I used to want to paint colors at school. And ever since I went to work, I don't have no time. What with watching the kids and helping Ma, once we get married, I just want some time. Just a little time to myself. So that I can do watercolors. Or oils, maybe. Maybe portraits. In oils. I could paint your picture if you like.
Why not? Paint a big picture of me, and we'll hang it out in the outhouse. All our friends will come around just to use the can, so they can take a look at it.
Oh, the way you talk sometimes.
Aw, Grace. You want to paint pictures? Paint pictures. I ain't gonna stop ya.
You say that now, Tommy, but once we're married, you'll change your tune.
Sure, I'll be whistling Dixie.
Wait till you come home all night, all wore out. Some Christmas, maybe, when every customer on your routes had 3 times the mail. And maybe some dog took after you, and some old lady kept you waiting on her stoop telling you about her grandchildren. And you wouldn't have the heart to tell her that you can't talk. I know you. So you come home all cranky and late besides, hungry, wanting your dinner. And there I am, with my easel set up in the kitchen and a drop cloth on the floor, my paints all over the table, and your dinner nowhere in sight. What would you say then?
Better be a picture of me you're painting.
I know what you'd say. Where's my dinner? That's what you'd say. Where's my dinner?
Well, sure, but I'd still admire the painting. Just want to look at it on a full stomach is all. So, how'd I do? Pick the right wallpaper?
I don't know. Maybe I'll go look at the stripes.
Stripes? Polka dots? I don't care. Let's just get married, Grace. You're plenty old enough. Tell your ma we ain't waiting no more. We'll just run off.
Tommy, we're not running off. We're gonna do it right. A nice church wedding with flowers and music, and then a week at the seashore. Just us. And after that, we get set up in our own place. You'll see. It'll be worth the wait.
Miss Hazel-Cruiser, any connection to the others?
Only by virtue of employment.
Except she's got a good lawyer.
Knows how to write a good letter anyway, that lawyer.
And she no longer works here.
Left 6 months ago.
This makes 4 now.
3.
4 if you count the Magia girl.
I wouldn't include her.
She worked here.
She also worked other places, and what she died from, you couldn't pick up here. At least I don't think you can.
That's not funny, Charlie. Besides, that's just the idle talk now.
In my experience, there's usually something to the idle talk when it comes to girls like that.
From a large family, wasn't she?
Italians, the conditions they live in. 10, 12 people in 3 rooms. It's a wonder they don't all die of one disease or another.
3 then. And how many have died?
Only Miss Magia so far, but I haven't heard from her people.
It's too late for them anyway. The statute of limitations is 2 years. But Miss Cruiser is another story. She's in a position to make some trouble now.
In all the time I've been here, no one has so much as slipped on the floor. And now this?
We're talking about 4 girls. Out of how many hundreds that we've employed?
600, 700 over the years.
And some of them were sick when they got here. One girl you hired was a complete cripple. Couldn't even climb the stairs. Her father carried her up to the studio every morning.
It didn't make any difference to me how she got up the stairs. She was a fast worker and a very sweet little girl.
But she was in poor health.
She needed the work.
Arthur, Charlie.
And not just for the money. To feel productive. To have a purpose. That's what work does, Charlie. It gives us a purpose. I don't see any reason why we should stop hiring girls like that.
When they get sick and try to blame us for it, you might want to reconsider that policy.
Let's see what Dr. Drinker has to say to that.
Dr. Drinker?
Some professor at the Harvard School of Industrial Hygiene.
He chairs the department, and he's agreed to take a look at our operations.
Don't you think we're jumping the gun a bit, hiring him?
We've had 6 girls quit this week. And Miss McNeil tells me there could be more.
Girls come and go all the time.
It's never been like this. These girls are terrified. We've got to do something to calm them down.
So you think letting Drinker examine them would be a good idea? That sounds to me like a recipe for mass hysteria.
We'll tell them it's a routine physical. Edward?
Companies give physicals all the time.
Then Dr. Drinker will start next month.
In the meantime, I recommend you make an offer to Miss Cruiser.
Settle?
There's no proof her problems are connected to us.
If she sues, believe me, you won't like the publicity it brings. And neither will your investors.
You think this will affect the stock offering?
Don't you?
Wonderful. We'll open at 30, then close at 10.
Or not open at all.
But if we give this girl something, that'll keep her quiet.
It would be a condition of the settlement.
Maybe we better do it.
Suppose that lawyer has a racket going. He finds sick girls, talks them into making suits, and we reward him for his larceny.
Unless Miss Cruiser genuinely believes she got sick here.
It could be like Charlie said. She comes from a large immigrant family, not well educated, not a lot of resources.
A few $100s would make a big difference to a girl like that.
Certainly. Pay a few doctor's bills, buy some medicine. From the sound of the letter, I don't think the girl has long to live anyway.
So it would be a gesture of decency then.
Exactly.
What do you think we should offer?
May 24, 1924. Jack Youngwood here for the New York Ledger.
Nancy Jane Harlan for the New York Graphic. The graphics only, girl reporter.
Could radium water pose a cure for crippling arthritis? Scientific studies suggest a connection.
Dateline, Orange, New Jersey. Radium water products offer a miracle cure for crippling arthritis.
Some patients reported a significant abatement in their symptoms.
Mrs. Jeremy Michaels of the Bronx tells how radium water transformed her life. My pain got so bad, I couldn't hardly bend over.
While others reported only mild relief.
This poor, brave woman could not even bend down to kiss her little ones good night. And I got 3. Let me tell you, they are a handful.
Dr. Harrison Martland, Chief Medical Examiner for Essex County, commented on the study.
Preliminary at best.
Your recommendations, Dr. Martland?
I advise further study. Further study.
Then Mrs. Michaels tried Raditor. They said it would help my rheumatism, so I drank a bottle a day for a month. Wasn't cheap, but I was desperate.
The test sample is questionably small.
Well, first off, I felt like I'd been hit by a bolt of lightning. It was that powerful. Now I drink a bottle a week, just to maintain my health. I hang laundry and scrub the kitchen floor, same way I always done.
Dr. William J. Bailey of Orange, inventor of Raditor, reports strong demand for his product.
Dr. William Bailey of Orange announces sales of Raditor exceed 100,000 cases worldwide.
Purity is one of the most remarkable agents in medical science. I drink Raditor myself and I can vouch for its power. A bottle a day?
At $1 a bottle?
Worth every penny.
Yes, indeed. I myself was a picture of lethargy before I discovered the amazing, vitalizing qualities of radium water. Now look at me. I'm nearly 50 years old, but I have the energy of a man in his 30s.
You rather look like a man in his 30s.
A testament to the tonic's potency?
Or to the seller's creativity. Raditor is a perpetual sunshine.
And a perpetual money machine for its inventor.
There's no end to what science can do.
Maybe we should have made an appointment.
Don't need no appointment.
But it's a busy place, Catherine. If you don't have an appointment, maybe you should make one.
I don't need no appointment for this.
I'm sorry to keep you waiting. I don't find anything on the shop.
No, it's under Rudolph.
Rudolph?
The girl I'm asking about, Irene Rudolph.
Did she file the complaint?
No, the dentist did.
The dentist?
Dr. Kev, Irene's dentist, he said she might have fussy jaw and he was going to complain to the health department about it. But when I asked him, he said he hadn't heard nothing. And it's been more than 6 months now.
Fussy jaw, you say?
Yes.
Okay, let me go see what I can find.
Catherine, it could have been like your doctor said. A blood infection.
Yeah, but what gave it to her? That's the thing. What's it from?
From dirt. You get infections from dirt.
From dirt? Her face puffed up like a pumpkin. Her jaw rotted so bad she couldn't eat nothing. You think you get something like that from a little dirt? You get it from phosphorus. They're telling everybody it's the radium in that paint. But it's really phosphorus that makes it glow.
Oh, honestly, Catherine, you can't really believe that.
You saw her. You saw her, Grace?
Catherine, if it was anything like you'd say, they'd never even let you work up there in the first place.
Sure, they'd shut the place down.
Shut it down? Who's gonna shut it down?
I don't know. The county.
Honestly, Grace, really, you're such a ninny. How are they gonna ever shut it down if they don't know about it? Ever think of that?
Now come on!
It's all right, Tommy.
She got no business talking to you that way.
She's just upset.
Upset? She's gone around the bend. She probably thinks they're dumping arsenic water in the drinking water now. Next, it'll be they're kidnapping babies and using them to stroke the furnace.
Go ahead and laugh. You won't laugh so hard when it's you coming in here 6 months from now asking after Grace.
Oh, for crying out loud.
Catherine, it's just a toothache.
Yeah, that's how it started for Irene. Just a toothache. You wait. You wait, Grace. You wait. You'll wake up one morning, your gums hurting so bad, you won't be able to open your mouth. So weak and sick, you won't be able to stand up.
Stop it, Catherine.
The pain so bad, you won't be able to sleep, and your face so swollen, you won't be able to stand to the side of yourself.
I said stop it. Grace is fine. Right, Gracie?
Irene Rudolph?
That's it.
She worked at the radium plant.
Yes, ma'am.
Nothing.
What?
The company is in full compliance with all state health and labor regulations. They ordered an analysis of the paint.
Let me see the file.
Miss, really?
Who's Miss Young?
That's the health officer. Miss.
Paint is harmless compound of radium and zinc?
As I was saying, the analysis shows there's no phosphorus in the paint. There's no phosphorus anywhere in the plant.
There. You see, Catherine?
Miss Young toured the plant herself. She found nothing amiss. I'm sorry.
I'm going to file another complaint.
Catherine, these folks, they're awful busy here.
I want to file another complaint.
Oh, brother.
I just don't see what good this is gonna do, Catherine, to make such a fuss this way.
Grace, 3 surgeries and they wanted to cut her again. Finally, she said no. She knew. She was left of her jaw, rotted so bad. The smell was terrible. And Grace, the worst part of it, I couldn't look at her. Jean was so afraid of being alone. But I left her alone. When she died, it was the middle of the night, and nobody was with her.
I'm sorry. Can we have another form? My friend would like to file another complaint.
Another complaint? Is the girl still sick?
No. She died.
Oh. Wait right here.
Harriet! Harriet! You'll come up from the tree at once!
Let her be. She's enjoying herself.
Harriet!
Tell you what, if she has no one to shout to, she won't shout.
They can hear her all over the neighborhood.
Can they?
When she comes down, I want you to speak to her.
She's 9 years old, Diane.
I'm trying to raise a daughter, not a son.
Well, time is on your side then. In another year or two, she'll lose all interest in trees and develop a fascination with boys.
That's supposed to scare me.
And when that day comes, you'll be frantic. Trust me. Because she no longer wants to climb trees.
What's this?
It's something to give you vitality.
You think I need vitality?
That's what it says on the bottle.
Is it pure?
We're a supplier. Want to give it a try?
Well, if it'll give me vitality, how could I refuse? Your father came by to see me today.
Another hard luck case, huh?
4 children at home, all under the age of 6.
Let me guess. Wife in the hospital with cancer?
Yes.
And the husband's been laid off from, let's see, the brickyard?
Yes.
Through no fault of his own?
How did you know?
Dad was around to see me yesterday. It's never enough with him. Just to have ordinary ambitions. You have to have a mission in life.
And you do.
No, I don't. I have a business plan.
You can't tell me you wouldn't help this man if you could.
If I could, but I can't just give him a job that doesn't exist.
What about Dan Layman?
Dan?
Maybe he could use some help.
In the laboratory? Dan needs a trained technician, not a bricklayer. Why don't you send him over to Mrs. Middleton? Don't you women have a social club for things like this?
You mean the Women's Club Civics Committee?
Right, that.
I mean, yes, the club takes an interest in such cases, but we're not an employment service either, which is why I thought you could help him.
I got my shoes shined this morning, and while I sat there and watched the boy work, I thought this is quite an enterprise. The work walks in, the work walks out. No inventory, no warehouse, no health inspectors, no stock price.
And you'll trade him off for your shoe shine stand.
Fewer headaches that way.
So you're in one of those moods again. What is it this time? It can't be the market. It went up today.
Now you're reading the financial pages.
I have to entertain myself somehow. So what happened today? You're being very strange.
Am I? I'm sorry, honey.
You can tell me, you know.
Nothing to tell, really. It's just that this is going to be our best year ever.
So it's the prospect of success you find so disheartening?
I'll get my checkbook.
What for?
For your bricklayer case.
Artie! He needs a job, not charity. What is it that your father says? A working man needs to work? It wears
on his soul not to work. Well, if it's a matter of his soul, that's different, alright? I'll have him talk with Dan.
Artie!
But I make no promises, Diane.
No promises.
To your health.
So, Grace, how long have you had the drainage from this tooth?
A week or two. Heard something awful, Dr. Neff.
Anything else bothering you?
Back hurts some too.
You're back now. Have you seen your regular doctor?
He says it's nerves.
Nerves?
About my wedding and all.
This ain't no case of nerves. Hope you told him that.
Well, what do you think?
I think you better schedule that surgery.
Couldn't we put it off a little? Till after my wedding?
You don't have that surgery, you won't have no wedding.
Huh?
Miss Fryer, I want you to listen to me. Your jawbone, it's decaying. That's the black pus oozing out of your gum. It's the bone itself.
That's impossible. It can't be as bad as all that.
Put off the surgery and you will develop a septic condition. It could be fatal.
Everything I've got, I saved for my wedding.
Well, I got a suggestion for you. Why don't you go to the radium plant and explain your situation?
Go to the company?
Once they see what kind of shape you're in, they gotta feel obligated to help you out.
You think they do that?
Look, if you want, I'll write to them for you. They can work through me, just paying my bills directly. They got a moral obligation, don't you think?
I guess so.
We'll do it right now. I'll get some paper.
He has to be wrong. He has to be. Charlie, step in here for a moment.
What's the matter, Arthur? You look a little green.
Shut the door, please.
What's going on?
The Harvard report arrived just now from Cecil Drinker.
Finally, what does Dr. Drinker have to say?
Take a look.
Dear Mr. Roder, we have concluded our study of your plant and we believe the trouble is due to radium. What?
Read it, Charlie.
The blood changes in your employees can be explained on no other grounds. Photographic film carried by employees shows heavy fogging, and we suspect high levels of gamma.
Gamma radiation.
High levels of gamma radiation throughout the plant. He must have overlooked something.
If we're suffering from a new ailment caused by radium, it should occur generally throughout the plant.
One would expect.
Several hundred milligrams are in solutions at all times in big vats, several hundred milligrams in ore, several hundred in crystallizing.
The entire backyard is filled with tailings.
Radium is present in good amounts all over the damn property.
If it's the radium, then the incidence of illness should be highest in the laboratory.
And no one there is sick.
Then perhaps it's some combination of the radium with the zinc.
Or something peculiar to our plant alone.
Some kind of bacteria, perhaps, in the brushes?
It can't be the radium. There are dozens of application plants across the country, and none has ever reported anything like this.
The Department of Labor wants to see this report.
Yes, I'm aware.
What are we going to do? This tears us to pieces. How do we answer them?
They want to see the report. So how about we'll send them this?
1 page.
The most important page.
Drinker will never stand for this.
Drinker works for us. It's a proprietary report. What we do with it is our business.
But the Department of Labor, Arthur.
We need time, Charlie. Just a little bit of time.
They could shut us down for this.
Scientists, government men, they have no idea what it takes to run a business. Von Shockley thought advertising was a dirty word. He laughed at the very idea of promotion. I can't tell you how many times I walked into that man's office and he turned a deaf ear to everything I told him. But Charlie, we showed him. We showed him. Look at us. We're the world's largest single supplier of radium. The largest in the world. You know what it took for us to get here? Do you think I'm going to stand idly by and let our good name be dragged through the mud? Trust me, Charlie.
Dr. Flynn, it's awful nice of you to come all this way.
Not at all, my dear, not at all. I'm happy to make this call.
I told the surgeon you was coming over here. So, he gave me the results of my blood work.
Excellent. How very thoughtful.
And so?
I must say, Miss Fryer, your blood looks better than mine.
It does.
That's what happened to an old man who smokes. Now, tell me, what else is troubling you?
My feet and my back mostly. I've had to wear a brace for a while.
So I see. And this started before you left the company or after?
After I left, Dr. Neff says this is all to do with the radium plant. I know another girl from the plant who died from it. Irene Rudolph.
Oh, yes. Terrible thing. Winston's angina.
Whoa, what's that?
That's an ulcerated condition of the mouth, my dear.
From the radium?
Oh, no. An unfortunate and rare result of poor dental care. So, let this be a lesson to you. Always brush your teeth.
There was something else in the paper about this, about other girls who got sick. One girl I worked with for a while. She's in the hospital in New York, and the doctors don't know what to do. They've never seen anything like it.
Miss Fryer, don't tell me you pay any attention to the papers. Those stories are not scientific.
But
Reporters are not scientific. They do not follow scientific methods. They write to sell, not to educate. The scientist is not concerned with what sells. He is concerned with the truth. He undertakes years of painstaking study to arrive at an understanding of intricate natural processes that most people could never even presume to comprehend. You would do well to listen to science and ignore the nonsense that is printed in the newspapers, because I can tell you right now, radium has nothing to do with what's ailing you.
it doesn't.
Not in the least, my dear.
Then what is ailing me?
Poor diet, Miss Fryer. Poor diet.
But Dr. Neff said...
Dr. Neff is a dentist, not a physician. What you have is a vitamin deficiency. You must eat more fresh fruit.
Hard to do in the winter.
And raw meat as well. That will help the anemia. Raw calf's liver, particularly. Cook it if you must, but eat it twice a week. At a minimum. I'm a scientist, and I take a purely scientific interest in the situation. By allowing me to examine you, you girls are helping me to advance my own studies. I thank you. Here's my card. Call me at that number anytime, day or night.
Okay, Dr. Flynn. Thanks.
Happy to be of service, my dear. Good day.
Dr. Frederick Flynn, PhD, Physiology, Columbia University. PhD? That is not a real doctor.
He's seen half a dozen girls used to work at that plant. What I hear, he's working for the company.
And I let that fella examine me.
Every girl he sees is the same thing. Nothing wrong with you.
Your blood is better than mine, he says. I can't believe somebody would do that. Straight out lie to you like that.
Nothing surprises me.
It's exactly the way you said, Catherine. Those people will say anything. They'll do anything.
Except the right thing.
Well, we're gonna make him, Catherine. We're gonna make sure someone hears about this.
Dr. Flynn, I understand that you finished your study?
I have indeed, my findings, Mr. Reader.
An objective evaluation, I trust?
The source of my funding has no bearing on my research.
Of course. And were you able to examine Miss Fryer?
I never examined her per se. It was not a medical examination.
Nevertheless, you were able to offer her some useful advice?
I did my best for her.
And the rest of the report?
The animal studies I conducted reveal no adverse effects from radium. The problem with dial painters, as you suspected, is one of personal hygiene only.
I'm most grateful, Dr. Flynn, but I'm particularly grateful to hear that the young lady you examined is doing so much better.
It didn't examine her, no. Merely consulted with her.
All the same, she is doing much better now. Isn't that so?
From what I see, Mr. Reader, she appears to be on the road to recovery.
Excellent.
Here is a statement of my fees and expenses.
Mr. Lee will draw you a check.
And so, I leave you now with this one thought. Ladies and gentlemen, we do not have to accept injustice. We can use our powers as consumers to influence the practices of those who wish to profit from our patronage. Thank you to the Women's Club of Orange for hosting me.
Thank you, Miss Wiley. And thanks to the New Jersey Consumers League for another job well done. This concludes our program for this evening. I don't think we have time for questions, but we hope that you will join us next door for light refreshments.
Do you want anything, Grace?
My throat's a little dry.
Can I help you, miss?
I'm here to see Miss Wiley.
You're not a member of the Women's Club.
No, ma'am.
Are you a guest of a member?
No, ma'am, but Miss Wiley...
Then I'm sure Miss Wiley would be happy to see you during her regular business hours.
I'm not leaving till I see Miss Wiley.
It's all right, Mrs. Middleton. It's fine. You must be Miss Fryer.
Yes, ma'am. Miss Young at the health department said I should see you. I know I should have stopped by your office, but I was still out of work lately and didn't want to miss no more.
No need to apologize. I had been meaning to call on you myself. Please, sit down.
Me and Catherine, we wrote to the company about our troubles, but we never heard nothing. So then we went to see a couple of lawyers, but they all said they can't do anything because it's been so long since we left the radium plant. Something about the law won't allow it.
The statute of limitations.
Right. And one lawyer, he said he would try to sue anyhow, only he wants $1,000 up front. I already spent everything I saved for my wedding on doctors and dentists and hospitals, and I still don't know what's wrong. Exactly. And Tom, that's my fella. He says he don't care. He wants to get married anyhow, but I just wonder, what good would I do to him? Like this, Miss Wiley. If I could just get some compensation, I could settle my debts, and then maybe I wouldn't feel like I was saddling on Tom with such a burden. I'm sorry to rattle on you about these things. I'm just so tired of being pushed around.
I don't blame you.
Miss Young at the health department, she said the Consumers League has, what did she say, clout.
I'd like to think so. We've certainly had our share of successes.
Can you help us then?
Tell me, Miss Fryer, just how far are you willing to go with this?
Ma'am.
Suppose I do find a lawyer to take your case. Someone willing to do it on a contingency. You wouldn't have to pay him unless you won. Would you be willing to sue?
I want my compensation.
Of course you do. Now suppose the company says, here's some money for you, Miss Fryer. Only you are to tell no one what we've agreed to. You are to say nothing about how you got sick.
Keep it quiet, you mean?
Yes.
That don't seem right.
It isn't right, but that's what they'll do. They will try to buy your silence. Is it for sale, Miss Fryer?
No, ma'am. It isn't.
Good.
So, you will help us?
I think I can help you. If you're willing to take some chances, that is.
Chances?
Miss Fryer, if you would be willing to set aside your own need, just for the moment, we can stop that company. We can stop them dead in their tracks.
What do I have to do?
Well, we start by putting you on page 1. Not just one newspaper. Many, many newspapers.
Is that really necessary? All we want is for Grace to get her compensation.
Tommy, let her finish.
I understand your concerns. But this company has already shown it's willing to go to extremes to protect itself. No, I'm afraid the only way we'll get to them is to hit them where it matters the most. Their public image. When every newspaper in America tells your story, how you were sorely treated, how you suffered, How the company denied all responsibility? Believe me, Miss Fryer, when that happens, Arthur Reeder will come to the table with his hat in his hands.
All right, Miss Wiley.
I know it's a little frightening.
It's okay. Right now, I'm more angry than I am scared.
Good. You hang on to that anger, Miss Fryer. You're going to need it. Only be sure no one else sees it.
Ma'am.
Public sympathy, Miss Fryer. That's our strongest weapon. And the public doesn't have much sympathy for an angry woman.
December 4th, 1927. Jack Youngwood reporting for the Newark Ledger.
Nancy Jane Harlan for the New York Graphic.
On the strange case of the Radium Girls,
Who claimed they were poisoned at the hands of their employer.
and now seek their day in court.
$250,000.
That's the price tag on this suffering.
Ask me, it's all sham.
What do you mean? Those girls are very sick.
Sick of working. Sure.
Doctors say the Radium Girls have only a year to live.
Only 1 year to live and 250 grand to spend. What would you do with that kind of money?
What would you do to ease your last suffering days on earth? What would you do with $250,000?
I'd buy a wardrobe like Irene Castle.
I'd give it all to charity.
Then I'd travel around the world, first class, with all of my friends.
I would play the stock market.
I'd use it to pay my medical bills.
Oh my god, that's Grace Fryer!
And pay off the second mortgage on our house, the one my father took out to pay for my last operation.
Pretty Grace Fryer sits at home,
Suffering bravely through this entire ordeal.
struggling valiantly to keep up her flagging spirit.
For the sake of her family and her friends.
It hurts to smile, but I try to smile. I know if I don't smile, I'll go crazy.
Tell us, Miss Fryer, how does it feel, knowing you have so little time left?
I try not to think about it.
But it must get to ya sometimes.
Knowing what you've been through,
And the company's getting fat off your labor.
No
comment. Don't you just want to punch somebody?
oh, no. That won't do no good. I'd rather just think about how it's gonna be when justice prevails. Then I can do something nice for the folks. Maybe send them on a trip. They never did have no honeymoon.
What a fine example of womanhood. We can only aspire to bear our cross in life as nobly as this young girl.
Tell me again, Miss Wiley, what are the purposes of these articles?
Public sympathy, Mr. Barry. That is the engine of reform.
And what about my clients? How does it help Grace Fryer or Catherine Shaw? She's back in the hospital. Does it help her to read in a dozen different newspapers that she has so little time to live?
Mr. Barry, Edward Markley for U.S. Radium Corporation.
Oh yes, come in, Mr. Markley.
You've seen this article in the Ledger.
I have.
These kind of histrionics will not serve you, Mr. Barry.
I had nothing to do with that.
Please. I've been in this game a long time. When I see a story like this, move the wires, the plaintiff's attorney usually has a great deal to do with it.
What's your proposal, Mr. Markley?
$1,500 for each girl.
$1,500?
That's not even a year's wages.
We think it's very generous, considering your case won't survive the statute of limitation.
The Chancery Court will come to a different conclusion.
The Chancery Court can't rewrite the law, and the law is clear. 2 years from the date of injury, your client's out of time.
2 years from the date the cause of injury is discovered.
Very creative, Mr. Berry. Very clever. I have tried my imagination, but you're a long way to go before you convince the judge.
And in the meantime, Mr. Markley, the press will continue to take great interest in this story, and in the company's complete indifference to its workers.
No doubt. That will be more good press for the Consumers League, and you accuse us of exploiting these girls.
You're the one hiding behind the statute of limitations.
Hiding Miss Wiley?
You know very well the law never anticipated a situation like this. These girls were dying years before anyone knew the cause.
Before anyone knew. Does that include the US Radium Corporation? When, or should I say if, this case goes to trial? I only hope that's your opening argument, Mr. Berry. You will have made my defense. See you at the hearing.
The arrogance of that man.
You see, these articles are antagonizing the company.
Then the strategy is working.
How?
Mr. Berry, surely you can see. The US Radium Corporation cares nothing about the girls it has poisoned. But the average housewife in Orange cares very deeply. And so do millions of other women across the country. These women shop. They buy watches. Markley can be as smug as he likes, but the Consumers League campaign will lead to only one outcome. And he knows it. That is why he was here today.
I only hope you're right, Miss Wiley.
Public sympathy, Mr. Berry. Wait and see.
You alright, Catherine?
Eating again.
Shall I get the nurse?
I did this before. It'll stop.
I brought some more of these letters. They've come from all over. There's one from Boston and Atlanta. Oh, and here's one from Montana.
Montana?
Here, let's read it. Listen to this. Dear girl, I read about you in the Billings Gazette. I run 100 head of cattle up here and do very well by myself. I have always longed for a companion and am well equipped to offer you a comfortable home in your final hours.
Oh my word!
A girl like you has suffered so much. Don't you think you deserve a few fleeting hours of happiness? Sincerely, your admirer, Leonard F. Watkins. P.S. Enclosed is my picture.
He sent a picture? Let me see.
Shall we read some more?
It's all right. Nothing could top that.
Maybe we should go then, so you can get some sleep.
Who can sleep? I never sleep.
You'll sleep tomorrow.
Might not wake up.
Of course you'll wake up.
Not if it didn't go well. Sometimes you don't come out of it so good. My mother's cousin, she went into the hospital for her appendix and didn't come home again.
Well, you just can't think that way, that's all. Look at this mail, Catherine. Miss Wiley said folks would be on our side, and she sure was right.
What if we don't win?
Of course we'll win, Catherine.
What if we don't? My father will lose his house. We'll be on the streets. You will be on the streets too. Your father must own thousands. And you and Tommy, you won't ever get married. How can you stand it, Grace?
Catherine, please.
How can Tom stand it? Don't you ever wonder, Grace? I don't never hear him complain.
Catherine! As soon as the judge hears our testimony, he's gonna rule for us. It'll be over in a day.
Yeah, you think so?
We'd be awful hard to ignore, don't you think?
That'll be something, won't it? To see the look on Mr. Reader's face when we get on the stand.
Tommy's back. He went for some custard.
They didn't have vanilla, so I got some chocolate.
Took you long enough?
Don't get on me. I had 6 people stop me on the way here. All of them reporters and all of them asking after you.
waiting for me to die?
No one is waiting for you to die.
One of them called my mother asking if I had died. When she said no, he sounded disappointed.
Try to eat a little of this. You'll feel better.
Evening, girls. How about a picture?
For the love of Mike, what are you doing?
We need some pictures for the graphics exclusive on the girls.
Exclusive? What are you talking about?
$5,000. That's what. What do you say, Grace? That sound good to you? Think you could use $5,000?
I don't understand.
Perhaps you're familiar with Bernard McFadden.
Who? That faith healer?
Herbalist, Mr. Crater. Herbalist. Bernard McFadden's patented herbal therapy is just the thing to get these girls back on their feet. And the graphic will pay for it. All we ask is exclusive rights to their story from here on out. See for yourself.
You want to pay us to go see Bernard McFadden?
Let me see.
They're serious, Grace.
The graphic always does business on the up and up.
I don't know.
Grace, what is your father own the house?
I don't know exactly.
And that last hospital bill? That was a couple hundred at least.
At least?
Maybe we should think about this.
And all we do is talk to this herbalist fella?
Of course, we'll have to get our money's worth. A regular series of features with pictures following the course of the treatment, your illness, recovery, or otherwise, depending on how it goes.
And then you print whatever you want.
Maybe we add some color. Everybody adds some color.
It don't sound so bad.
Maybe. we should talk to Miss Wiley about it.
Miss Wiley? What's it to her? You're the one with bills to pay. You're a big girl, Grace. Can't you make your own decisions?
Of course, I can make my own decisions.
You'd take it if it came from the company?
The company owes us a lot more than that.
If you ever see it.
Grace, maybe we should do it.
It just don't feel right.
You're gonna talk to them reporters anyhow. Why not get something out of it?
He's right, you know. Why give your story away when people are crazy to read it? Believe me, you girls could cash in big. The day we ran the feature on you, bang! Sold out of every copy at every newsstand. Everybody can sympathize with the plight of some poor sick girl facing certain death with no hope of fulfillment in motherhood.
I'd like you to go now. My friend is tired. She needs her rest.
Grace, at least think about it.
Sure, think it over. I understand. You're worried about what people will say. But hey, you gotta think about your own interest here. There's no reason you shouldn't get something out of all of this. Look out for number one. That's the way. Everyone else is out to get what they can, for sure. Why should you sit back and keep your nose clean when everybody else is up to their elbows in it?
Gentlemen, we've called this meeting of the board to hear a proposal from Dr. Neff. He is a dentist here in Orange and has treated several of our employees. He requested this meeting because he has some ideas about how to treat our current problems. Dr. Neff?
Thank you, Mr. Reader. As you say, I have treated a number of girls who claim they got sick here. One of them, the girl's jaw had rotted so bad, I removed it by just lifting the bone out of her mouth.
That's alright, Dr. Neff. You can put that away.
Maybe you'd rather look at it on the x-ray? This was an expensive case to treat, and I never did get no compensation. The girl died. Her family never paid. Okay, board members, here it is straight. There's gonna be a lot more girls coming out and saying that they got sick here. So, maybe we can do business. I scratch your back, you scratch mine. That sort of thing. Suppose you was to give me a list of the girls who worked here. I'd see to it there were no more lawsuits. I'm saying I scratch your back, you scratch mine.
How so, Dr. Neff?
I'd examine them for radium necrosis, and then I would come up with a favorable diagnosis for you. Pyrrhea, or say something else. Quite a few cases will just die a natural death anyway, and the rest we can put off for a while until the statute of limitation kicks in and it's too late to sue.
You'll persuade them they haven't got a case against the company.
Exactly. And if it did come to court, I could testify there was some other problem. And it would be a strong testimony coming from the dentist who treated them.
What makes you so sure these girls will come to you?
They'll come to me quick if I don't charge them nothing.
Because we'll be paying you.
Exactly right. We understand each other, Mr. Reader.
Exactly. What are you asking for, Dr. Neff?
I need $10,000 from my troubles so far, and for every girl I'd agree to see on from here on out. $2 for every visit, plus expenses for the x-rays. I'm suggesting a gentleman's agreement here. Better off if it's not in writing.
No.
Alright, we'll put it in writing.
We'll do nothing of this kind. Your proposal is immoral, and will have nothing to do with it.
Immoral? You say? You're a fine one to be talking about morals.
Mr. Lee.
When you got your own hired guns ready to testify?
These are expert witnesses.
Expert witnesses? Paid lackeys is more like it. And none of them got the dirt I got. If you're smart, you'd play ball with me. Believe me, there's plenty of other folks interested in the information.
You're threatening me.
Just a business proposition, Mr. Reader. Just looking out for my interests. Same way you look after yours.
Mr. Lee, see Dr. Neff to the door.
Alright. You don't want to play ball? Fine. But believe me, when this shakes out, it won't be me holding the end of the short stick.
Gentlemen, I want you all to make statements on what happened this morning. We'll send them to the State Dental Society. Then Dr. Neff will see who's playing ball and who isn't.
An excellent idea, Mr. Reader.
I don't know. Perhaps we shouldn't be so quick to dismiss Neff's proposal. We're in a very bad situation here, Mr. Reader.
That's true. Mr. Lee says you're having trouble getting girls to work here.
Yes, and we've lost some contracts because of it.
And it's going to get worse.
The papers are full of stories about those girls.
Making them out to be saints.
And what defense can we put out?
Except to say that we'll try our case in court.
And in the court of public opinion, we've already lost.
Perhaps we should reconsider. It certainly wouldn't hurt to have testimony from a dentist who treated those girls.
Neff could be very helpful to us. We should retain him as an expert.
Like Dr. Flynn?
But Dr. Flynn treated some of the girls, did he?
He dispensed medical advice, Arthur.
How about this? We retain Neff, but we don't put him on the stand. Just so we keep him from testifying for the woman.
Yes, I agree. That's the most important thing.
That's the most important thing.
Would you agree to something like that?
We don't want to do business with Neff.
He could hurt us. We have to take steps.
Neff has already given us everything we need. New evidence, gentlemen. This is grounds for a postponement.
Three months to study an x-ray. It's outrageous. And the girls. Did you see the girls? Their eyes were like saucers looking at me, terrified.
Mr. Barry.
How are they going to hold out 3 more months? Catherine Sharp could barely make it into the courtroom today. And Grace, she was trying so hard not to cry. And of course, I had all the answers. Go home, girls. Get some rest. That's the best I can do. Get some rest.
You're doing wonderfully, Mr. Barry. It's a difficult case.
I don't understand people like Markley and Reader. How can you play this kind of game? With those poor girls sitting right there.
Maybe this will help to explain. I received a letter.
You'd think the company would be eager to take care of this, with the kind of publicity this has gotten. But Markley seems to enjoy the sport of it. What he can get away with. It's cold. Very cold.
Mr. Barry?
What's this?
It's from Catherine Drinker. Mrs. Cecile Drinker? Of Harvard? She's an industrial hygienist also. She worked with Dr. Drinker on his study of the radium plant. It was a joint effort, actually.
That's very interesting, Miss Wiley. But we've already seen that document. There's nothing in it to help us.
You've only seen part of it, Mr. Barry. Please, this is the complete report. I received it this morning. Mrs. Drinker has been following our story very closely in the papers. And she was particularly disturbed to read that last article in the Ledger, the one where Mr. Lee says her study clears the company.
He doctored the report. Reader doctored the report.
Apparently, he pulled out one page listing the blood conditions of a dozen employees and passed it off as the whole thing. Doesn't look so bad by itself, does it? But in context, it's a somewhat different picture.
We can use this.
Yes, that should impress the judge.
The judge? Miss Wiley, I am not going to wait 3 months to make use of this. I want you to call that contact you have at the New York World. If reader won't let us present our evidence in the courtroom, then he can read about it in the newspaper.
Jan 12, 1928. Jack Youngwood reporting for the New York Ledger.
Nancy Jane Harlan for the graphic.
Radium Girls go to court today.
Radium Girls knock at the doors of justice. Will they be heard?
These poor, injured girls face pain,
Disfigurement.
ruin.
And death. And as the clock ticks away the precious moments,
A hearing begins in Chancery Court,
where the U.S. Radium Corporation demands a postponement.
while plaintiff's attorney Raymond Berry makes a shocking disclosure,
Showing that the company lied to the Department of Labor.
showing that it distorted the results of a Harvard study.
Sealing the ill effects of its product.
Read all about it in the Ledger.
Read it in the graphic. We care because you care.
Is that for me?
For both of us. It'll give you vitality.
No, thank you.
Alright then. I'll leave a bottle here in case you change your mind. We should cancel our subscription to that paper.
Why?
Because it puts you in a foul temper and I hardly look at it anymore.
If only other people would do the same. Mrs. Mitchell from across the street, she walked right past me this morning, didn't even say a word. I know she saw me. And the woman at the market, and the greengrocer. I mean, the way they glanced at each other. And at the club, Mrs. Middleton and the other ladies. Ugh, the whispers.
Why don't you put that away then? Read the ladies' home journal. I saw it here the other day. Why don't you read that?
At the club today, someone actually had the nerve to me to say, "Is it true? Is it true," she said. "Did your husband poison these women?" I said, "Mrs. Cowles, if you think this is true, why would you speak to me at all? I certainly would not associate with a woman whose husband did such things."
Why do you go there then if that's the way people are?
I've been a member for years.
What do you want me to say, Diane? That I knew that we were poisoning people but didn't want to stop because we were making too much money? Is that what you want me to say?
I certainly don't want you to say such a thing.
Even if it were true? Or especially if it were true?
Is it true?
Is that what you think?
What would you like me to think?
For God's sake, Diane, don't you see what's going on? It's Von Shockley. He's behind all this. He's jealous of our success. He's feeding information to the Consumer League so that they can railroad us.
Why would the Consumers League?
Bunch of radical women do-gooders. Half of them are Reds, probably. Socialists. That's what they are. The same thing with that club you go to.
What?
You women think you can go around and fix the world's problems?
I can. I'm sorry.
While your husbands go out and make you a living, you're gonna quit that club.
Quit the club?
And stop talking to that idiot Mrs. Middleton. She doesn't know anything.
You're not making any sense.
None of these women know anything. You don't know anything.
Did you lie to the Department of Labor?
What?
Did you lie?
I didn't lie. I just didn't agree with Drinker's results.
Arthur.
I have fiduciary duty to the company.
I can't listen to this.
Diane, I have documents. I have articles. People with tumors the size of baseballs. Radium therapy. The tumors disappear, Diane.
I'm tired. I'm going upstairs.
We save lives. We're making lives better. Mild radium therapy invigorates. You can't really think I'm a liar. Diane, you can't really believe that. And I would poison people? Can you believe that, Diane?
No.
Do you think I would ever do anything to hurt you or to hurt Harriet?
Of course not.
Then what?
13 girls have died, Arthur.
People die every day. The newspapers are full of death notices. Young, old, infants, children younger than Harriet, die every day.
But they worked for you!
They also worked other places. Diane, I have a report from the Columbia University, an expert in industrial hygiene, just like Drinker, who says that there is no connection between our plant and these illnesses. Would you like to see a report for yourself?
Then what could the cause be?
I don't know, Diane. No one knows. Please say you believe me. If you don't believe me, there's no point to anything.
Artie.
Remember the day I told my father I wasn't going into the ministry? What did you say to me that day?
You can do as much good in a boardroom as you can in a church.
You remember?
You really think I'd forget?
I was such a scared kid, and he was an icon. If it weren't for you, I don't think I could have stood up to him.
I'm sure you would have, Artie. I know you would have.
Ever since then, he's been looking for signs that my soul is lost. You don't think that, do you? That my soul is lost?
You're a good man, Artie.
You save lives, Diane.
You save lives.
It's all for you. You know that, don't you? Everything I do, it's always been for you.
I know.
Please don't let it be another reporter.
Arthur?
Is that Mr. Lee?
Charlie, for God's sakes.
I just got off the telephone with someone from the Ledger.
This couldn't wait until morning?
I'm sorry. Good evening.
Mr. Lee?
It's Dr. Lehman.
Dan?
He's dead, Arthur.
What?
He died this morning.
Charlie, that's not possible. I just saw him last week.
He was just here a month ago. For cards, they were just here.
Martland's already done the autopsy. He says it was severe anemia.
He's blaming the radium?
The Ledger is going to run it on page 1. I told the reporter we would issue a statement at 8 o'clock. That's when he needs it, so it can run tomorrow.
When are the services?
Sorry?
The services.
I don't know.
We'll send flowers. Diane?
Of course, I'll call Louise.
Yes, that's right. Call Louise.
I should go over and see her. Oh, poor Louise. We should go see her right now.
I wouldn't do that.
Why ever not?
She's planning to sue.
Louise?
The reporter from the Ledger told me. She's filing a wrongful death action. I've worked up a statement for the paper. Company chemist for 8 years, always in poor health, recently in decline.
But Dan was never sickly. He was always on the golf course, or sailing, or their garden, Artie. Oh, he kept a beautiful garden.
Let's take care of this in the morning, Charlie.
Of course. Sorry to bring you the bad news, Mrs. Reader. Good night.
Good night, Mr. Lee.
Charlie can be a bit excessive at times. We have to say something. I don't know what we'll say, but we have to say something. The shareholders will expect it.
You needn't explain, Artie.
Sometimes it's necessary.
It's alright. You don't have to explain. We're gonna throw this Radither away now.
There's half a case under the sink.
And we'll get rid of that Radither too. We'll have no more of it in the house.
I'll do it. Diane, I'm in too far to quit.
I really didn't expect you to.
Dateline, Newark, New Jersey, Feb 21st, 1928.
Dr. Harrison Martler, medical examiner for Essex County, announces the results of an autopsy.
We have examined the remains of the deceased Amelia Magia. Our study reveals the following. Radioactive substances have been found in large quantities in the lower jaw, the upper jaw, and the lumbar vertebrae. No evidence of syphilis was found.
Body is radioactive.
Bones of dead girl kick off gamma rays.
Catherine Wiley of Consumers Leagues declares, new evidence shows company lied.
Dr. Joseph Neff, a Newark dentist who treated Amelia, has turned over portions of the jawbone that he had removed from her mouth. This X-ray film shows the jawbone is still radioactive 5 years after the girl died.
Will this make your case?
Will this force a settlement?
Make our case? No, this gentleman will make our case.
Last night, in a graphic exclusive, the founder of the Radium Corporation broke his long silence with a shocking announcement.
Radium is one of the most dangerous substances known to man.
Dr. Wansashaki, is it true you assisted with the autopsy?
Yeah, with my expertise in radium extraction, I was able to determine Miss Magia absorbed enough radiation to kill 10 people.
Doctor, what does this say for mild radium therapy? Are you now advising against it?
Radium is responsible for the deaths of these poor girls. It should be considered a most dangerous substance.
Do you agree with the doctor's prognosis that the Radium Girls have only a year to live?
From what I've seen, they'll be lucky to last long.
I'll tell you what we should have done, Grace. We should have taken that reporter up on an offer when we had the chance. That's what we should have done.
$5,000. Don't make me laugh, Tommy.
We should have talked her up too. 'Cause I'll tell you what, they'd have paid. And I'll tell you what else we should have done.
Stop telling me what we should have done. Lots of things we should have done. It don't do no good to think about him now.
Alright, Grace.
Well, what do you think? Which shirt? The red or the blue?
So, what's Barry gonna say? Is he gonna go back to the company?
I like the red, but it don't fit so good these days.
Is he gonna try to talk the company up a bit?
Miss Wiley thinks another interview will do the job. So I say, what's one more, you know?
It's worth a try, don't you think? What if they came up to 5,000? Would you take it then?
Let them come up. I am not caving in.
It's called a settlement.
A settlement? It's just a way for them to hide.
Let him hide.
Then they win.
So they win. They're going to win anyway.
Nice. You got so much confidence in me.
Grace, for Christ's sake, you got one lawyer working for nothing up against 6 other lawyers who are getting a bundle, and you think you got a chance?
What I found out today? They put LED screens in the laboratory. For the technicians. Did they give us LED screens?
Oh, Jesus.
Would you think 100 girls in a room and they're gonna spend that kind of money on us?
Grace.
And they want to keep it all quiet.
What are we doing here, Grace?
And Miss Wiley says they're gonna close down here.
Grace! Grace!
And move across to the river, to New York, to open up another factory, like nothing ever happened.
What are we doing here? I thought the idea was that you get some money to settle your debts, get a better doctor, and we'd move on with things.
Get on with things.
You're still wearing my ring.
Oh, Tommy.
Grace, there's a house for sale in my brother's neighborhood. 2 rooms up, 2 rooms down. Not much, but it's a start. You'll like it. It's already got flowered wallpaper. And best of all, it's only 3 blocks from the school.
The school? What do we need with a school?
Plan ahead, for once.
Tommy, what do you think is going to happen after all this is over? Do you think everything will just go back to the way it was?
Why wouldn't it?
I gotta see the surgeon again.
Uh-huh.
I got some fluid. He's gonna drain it.
Okay,
And then he says, there'll be more.
so we deal with it when it comes.
And still more. And then more. And still more. Why can't you see that? How can you talk about buying houses and getting married when you know there's nothing?
Grace, I can't think about that. I just want for us to be together now. I want to come home to you at night. To my wife. My home. I'm too old to be living like this in-between life. I promise, Grace. I'll do whatever it takes to make it easy for you.
Tommy, here. Take this ring.
Grace, come on.
I should have given it back to you a long time ago.
I don't want it.
Tommy, please. You're gonna make me say it.
You just need some rest. That's all. You're not getting enough sleep. I'll be back to see you tomorrow.
Tommy!
You get some sleep.
Tommy! Tommy! Don't you do this to me! Tommy! Tommy!
Arthur?
Ah, Charlie.
Aren't you headed home?
Charlie, I've been thinking. We're taking the wrong approach here. We need to make a more reasonable offer to those girls.
No, Arthur. We agreed. We need a definitive victory. Otherwise, we invite more of the same nonsense.
Times have changed.
Arthur, I know you and Dan were close, but you can't let that cloud your judgment.
Ron Shockley's gonna testify.
We can deal with him.
How?
Put more money in his pocket.
Great. Now you want to bribe him?
Not a bribe. Consideration.
Consideration.
For an expert witness. Whatever Barry is paying him, we just make a better offer.
You don't understand the guilt. Do you, Charlie?
Right now, I don't have the luxury of thinking about it.
Let me tell you something, Charlie. A guilty man has a tremendous need to unburden himself. His guilt can eat him alive. Don't you see? What Von Shockley wants to be is free. That's why he's testifying for those girls. That is why he will never testify for us. No matter how much consideration you offer.
Settle with these girls, and you'll have to settle with all the others. Neff was right about that. This is just the beginning.
Tell Markley to get in touch with Barry. Get a conversation going. Come up with a figure the girls can accept.
Arthur, for God's sake, what are you trying to do to me? You want to wipe me out?
We've got to get this off the table.
Every penny I've put by in the last 7 years, I have sunk into this company. Why? Because of you. Because you said it was a sure thing. No, miss. Why work for Von Shoshoki when we can work for ourselves? Remember that one? Take a chance, Charlie. Take a chance.
Charlie, we were fooled. Von Shockley fooled us all. The only thing to do now is to try and clean it up as best as we can.
Do this and it's the end, Arthur.
You're stepping down? Charlie?
Not me.
Well?
Don't you know? They are one vote away from getting rid of you.
And whose vote is that, Charlie?
Arthur, have you so little faith in me?
I'm still a stockholder, Charlie. You don't have enough votes to get me off the board. I'll still be on the board.
And still on the hook if the company goes under. Think about that the next time your conscience starts to get better of you.
Grace! Grace? Mr. Markley will be here any minute.
Mr. Markley?
He's bringing the papers for you to sign. Did you fall asleep?
Has Miss Wiley been by?
Miss Wiley?
About Catherine. She told me she might stop by. Did she come by?
She might have.
Don't you know?
Someone came to the door a while ago. I think your brother answered it. Look, Grace, you gotta get ready.
They took Catherine back to the hospital last night.
I know. Here, I know. After you talk to Mr. Markley, we'll go over there and see how she is. Now, put a comb through that hair.
I dreamt she died.
Grace, don't speak such things.
If she dies, it's over.
We're 3 months behind on the mortgage race.
I know that.
You can't let this go on.
$1,500. Not even a year's wages.
Well, it's better than nothing, ain't it?
Is that all I'm worth? Better than nothing.
Course not, sweetheart. We got to be realistic. At the rate things are going, you'll never get inside that courtroom. And even if you do, you can't prove nothing.
Mr. Berry thinks we can.
Mr. Berry ain't paying the bills. There's the doctor, and the bank, and the coal man. We can't expect folks to treat us like charity just because you're sick.
Not asking for charity, Ma. I just want what's owed to me.
Grace, I know it feels like you're letting Catherine down. But if she decided to take the company's offer, would you hold it against her? No, you wouldn't. Now, we'll take that check and pay the bills, and whatever is left, you and Tom can have. A little something to get you started.
There's nothing to start, Ma.
Why do you have to be so hard on Tommy? Can't you see he just can't face the thought of you not being with us?
I have to face it. Why can't he?
Do something with your hair, Grace.
$250,000. What would you do with $250,000, Miss Fryer? Why? I can't imagine. No point to it. Ma, you didn't tell me I had mail. New Mexico, huh? They just keep writing. She was here. Miss Wiley was here. Ma, Miss Wiley was here this morning. She left me a note.
Miss Fryer, Edward Markley.
Ma said you brought papers.
Yes, the term spelled out as we explained in our letter. $1,500 to you. I've got a check right here. All we need is your signature. It's in triplicate.
Grace, Mr. Markley is a very busy man.
Oh no, please, take your time. Look it over carefully if you prefer. I can leave it and come back tomorrow.
No, we'll do this now.
What's hold harmless?
You agree to hold the company harmless from any further action.
No more lawsuits.
Correct.
Is that just me or anybody in my family?
Your entire family. It precludes a wrongful death action also.
This is a confidential settlement.
Yes.
You didn't say nothing about it being confidential.
That's standard for most legal settlements, Miss Fryer. We like to protect our privacy. And your privacy also. It cuts both ways. You agree to keep silent about the terms of the settlement. And so do we.
That seems fair.
Need a pen?
I have another question.
Grace, Mr. Markley already explained the settlement to you.
Ma,
I don't mind.
what is contributory negligence, Mr. Markley? It's not in that one. It was in the mother papers that you filed when we did the lawsuit. The Radium Company said its defense was the statute of limitations and contributory negligence.
I'm not sure what you're asking, Miss Fryer.
It means it's our fault, don't it?
It's a standard defense, Miss Fryer. I wouldn't take it personally.
How else can I take it?
Mr. Markley, Grace has had an awful headache all day. Maybe you could just leave the papers.
Maybe he can just answer the question.
Why are you doing this?
Why didn't you tell me Miss Wiley was here?
You already made up your mind. She'd only try to talk you out of it.
What did she say about Catherine?
She said, it don't look good.
Perhaps I should come back later when Miss Fryer is feeling better.
Mr. Markley, if you leave the papers, Grace will sign them later.
You didn't answer my question, Mr. Markley. And I'd really like an answer. Because let me tell you, I quit school at 15. I went to work at the radium plant because my folks needed the money. At your factory, they told us what to do, when to do it, how to do it. My folks didn't raise me to make trouble. So I didn't make trouble. I did what I was told. I never asked questions. How do you get contributory negligence out of that?
As I said, it's a standard defense.
There's nothing standard about what happened to me.
We deeply regret the situation, but there's no evidence to tie a condition to any action by the US Radium Corporation.
Then why are you giving me this money?
It's a humanitarian gesture.
A humanitarian gesture.
Mr. Markley, I'll take them papers.
Humanitarian. Month after month you put us off. Delay after delay. Knowing how sick we were, how tired and desperate. Humanitarian. You're waiting for us to die.
Grace, please, stop this now.
Ma, one by one, I watched my friends get sick and die in the most horrible way. And you think I should be grateful for any spare change they throw at me?
Miss Fryer, this is a very generous offer under the circumstances. I would advise you to take it because it won't be on the table very long.
What do you mean?
If Miss Fryer does not sign within 24 hours, we will be forced to withdraw our offer. Permanently.
Grace.
I'm going to court, Ma.
Very well then, Miss Fryer. I'll take that for a no. And we'll see you in court.
You call that man back. What are you trying to prove? You know you can't win.
I want those people to look at me. I want them to look at me and explain to me how it's my fault I got sick working in their factory.
And what will that get you? What?
Ma, all my life, I've done what other people told me to do. I quit school because you said I should. I put that brush in my mouth because Mrs. McNeil said I should. I never said, please, can't I finish school? I never said, I don't like the taste of this paint. I never argued, even though I knew, Ma. I knew something wasn't right. At night, I'd lie in bed and I'd see my dress hanging on the back of the closet door, all aglow. My shoes on the floor, my hairbrush and comb on the dresser. So much light, Ma. So much light. And I never once questioned, I never once asked. Don't you see? They knew I wouldn't. That's what they were counting on.
Doctor?
Arthur, thank you for coming. Please, won't you have a seat? Well, now, it's been a long time.
I stopped by your house last week.
Yes, and you left a few messages with my housekeeper. As we are no longer in business together, I thought it best not to respond.
You never told me the paint was dangerous.
But, on reflection, seems the conversation is advised.
You never said a word about it. Not to me, not to Dan.
I didn't know.
You didn't know? You invented the paint and you didn't know? How can you lie like that?
I didn't know until it was too late, Arthur.
I should have put you through that wall.
Perhaps you should, but you will not. Sit down, Arthur. A cup of tea will calm your nerves.
No, thank you. I was not the technical man. You were the technical man.
Yeah, I was the technical man.
I sold watches, for Christ's sakes. I was a salesman.
A good one at that. Very good head for the business you have. Not such a good head for the science, but for the business, very smart. Always you could find ways to cut the cost without losing the quality. As a gift, Arthur, why don't you have some tea?
Jesus Christ! What's the matter with your hands?
It's been that way for some time.
What? Have you been dipping them in ink?
Dipping them in ink? How fond of the pretty story you are. If only to ink. No. Dr. Maitland tells me it's a necrosis of the tissue. The cells. They are dying. With the dial painters, in the jaw it started. The necrosis. With me in the hand.
How long?
I've known for a while, Mrs. Wiley, from the Consumers League. Persuaded me to assist Dr. Maitland in testing the dial painters for radium exposure. Knowing I had the equipment and of course the skill, I didn't believe her either, Arthur. I didn't want to believe the girls could get sick from working with my paint. I wanted to show her it was a mistake. So I agreed to help Dr. Maitland and I expired their test. It was then that I found out. My own breath registered radioactive. They began to turn black. Now, you used to have words with me?
I'm so sorry.
Well, perhaps you should now make an appointment yourself with Dr. Maitland.
Me? What for?
Arthur, you didn't notice the glowing dust in your shoes in your home at night?
How can I miss it? I tracked it all over the house.
You could be sure that a good deal of knowledge is on your lungs. Now perhaps the book will be of interest.
Our promotional piece? I'd almost forgotten about this.
An excellent promotion. How many sales did that book account for?
I didn't track it exactly. I like to think it helped our medical market quite a bit.
Page 96.
I'm sorry?
Open it. Last chapter. Read it to me.
The last chapter. Radium. Dangerous effects?
Dangerous effects. How many articles have you listed there? 10? 15?
About 18. It looks like it.
How far back do they go, these articles?
I don't know.
Look at it. The first one there. What is the date?
1906.
1906. Now let me see. When you go to court tomorrow, you will testify you had no idea radium was dangerous, yes? How do you plan to do that, Arthur? Your own book says it was. How can you claim you did not know?
I never really read it.
What's that?
I never really read it. I hired a man to put it together. I just glanced at the galleys. I never read the book.
Quiet. I won't have these outbursts in my courtroom. Go ahead, Mr. Berry.
I'm sorry, Mr. Reader. You say you never read the book. How is that possible?
An outside company prepared the piece. They were responsible for the content.
It has your name on it. You authorized the book's release. Surely you had final approval.
Mr. Lee took care of our promotional efforts at that time. I entrusted those activities to him.
And he never bothered to alert you to what was in the book?
Not that I recall.
Now, Mr. Reader, you testified that you started at the U.S. Radium Corporation in 1918.
Yes, as a plant manager.
And you held this position for how long?
4 years.
During those 4 years, How often did you venture into the studio?
Every day.
Every day. So you must have observed the girls pointing the brushes on their lip?
I don't recall.
You're saying you went into the studio every day and you never saw a single girl put a brush to her mouth?
I said I don't recall.
You don't recall it. What do you recall, Mr. Reader? You're an awfully young man to have such a faulty memory.
That girl is still staring at me.
I wouldn't worry about it.
She thinks it's personal that I planned this. Somehow, how do I make her understand? I didn't want this to happen.
You don't. You don't make her understand. You don't talk to her.
But she looks like death, Edward.
They all look like death, Arthur.
June 4, 1928. Nancy Jane Harlan for the New York Graphic.
Jack Youngwood for the Ledger.
Raymond Perry seeks trial date for early summer.
As U.S. Radium Corporation announces a settlement.
A settlement?
$10,000 cash for each girl and $12 a week for life.
$12 a week?
Read all about it in the Ledger, your first source for news.
The company also agrees to pay the medical expenses of each girl for the remainder of her life. And the girls have agreed to submit to a periodic examination by a panel of physicians yet to be appointed. Questions?
What led to the settlement?
Is it an admission of responsibility?
What about other pending cases?
It was purely for humanitarian reasons that the US Radium Corporation agreed to the settlement. We admit no liability whatsoever.
Where does the company go from here?
The US Radium Corporation is pleased to have brought this lengthy litigation to a close and looks forward to many more years serving its customers and this community. And that's C.V. Lee, President.
Catherine Wiley of the New Jersey's Consumers League.
Were you pleased with the outcome, Miss Wiley?
Finally, these poor girls receive some compensation for their suffering. But more importantly, the issue of radium poisoning has been brought to public awareness.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Miss Wiley.
The spelling, by the way, is Wiley with one I and Catherine with a K.
Well, Edward, it looks like we're back in business.
What's your game plan?
Didn't I tell you? I've got a buyer for the tailings that have been piling up behind the building on Alden Street.
Oh.
Some contractor in Montclair needs a little infill.
That's perfect.
Now, Catherine, this won't do. There are too many leaves on your stone. We can't see your name. That's better. Well, Catherine, I brought my watercolors today. It's such a beautiful day. The trees are starting to turn, but it's still warm. Too warm for a sweater. Not much of a breeze. A fine day to paint.
Thought I might find you up here.
Tommy.
It's pretty quiet up here.
Yep.
Well, I guess if you can rest in peace, this is the place to do it, huh?
I guess it is.
What do you call that?
Watercolors. I am a little weak when it comes to landscapes, though.
No, it's good, Grace. It's nice.
First thing I bought with the settlement money was some paints. Got some oils, too.
Big spender.
Then I bought a car.
I didn't know you could drive.
I can't. My brother's gonna teach me. He drove me up here today.
Grace, you want to learn how to drive? I'll teach you.
You got other things to do now, Tommy.
You know about that?
Tommy, orange just isn't that big.
I meant to tell you myself, Grace. That's why I came looking for you.
It's alright. I'm happy for you. For both of you.
No hard feelings then.
Oh, Tommy, you think I've time for that?
I'm glad it worked out for you, Grace. Are you glad? I mean, you don't feel like you backed down too soon, do you?
We didn't back down. They backed down.
Papa?
It was over here. This is where I saw her the last time.
This is morbid, Papa.
Sitting by Catherine's grave. I stood here for a long time. She didn't notice me at first, but then something made her look up.
No wonder Mama won't come for drives with you anymore. If this is how you spend your Sundays.
I saw her looking at me and I looked away. Just like at the courthouse.
You need to find another hobby. Retirement isn't good for you.
My heart is pounding, Harriet. I never knew what I would say to her if I had the chance. And suddenly, there she was. And I had the chance.
So, what did you say?
I couldn't bring myself to speak. I had my chance and I couldn't speak.
Oh, Papa, that was years ago. Why don't you just forget about it? It's not like it was your fault. Nobody knew about things like that then. Science just wasn't as advanced the way it is now.
I think back on those days, and I try to think, how could it have happened? I remember so clearly climbing the stairs to the studio at Eldon Street. At the top of the stairs, those wide, huge windows and the slant of the light, the way it hit the floor, the way the floor creaked under my feet, the smell of the place, shocking, like an old classroom. And all those girls, schoolgirls really, all bent to the task, their plain green smocks, their delicate little hands, moving so quickly. No man could work the way those girls did. So careful, so fast. Those brushes flying from the dials to the paint, to the dials, to their lips. Try as I might, Harriet, try as I might, I cannot remember their faces. I never saw their faces.